If I have to pick an American dessert breakfast item from a menu, it's always going to be pancakes. I'm on team pancake, but if you're on team waffle or team French toast, that's totally okay. You're welcome to stay. But today I am going to be sharing with you a few tips on making the fluffiest and super delicious pancakes. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be converted into a pancake person. Pancakes are super easy to make, but they're actually also very easy to mess up. We're gonna learn those tips and learn how to make super awesome pancakes. But before we begin, if you have not subscribed to our channel, it's a very simple and easy task. Just like making pancakes, all you gotta do is push a button and give us a like if you will, and that's eat some dessert for breakfast. Tip number 1 on making super fluffy and really delicious pancakes. Ditch the box mix. These are all ingredients you probably already have in your pantry or in your fridge. It only takes a few minutes to whip up a batch of batter, so for all seriousness, the only time that's acceptable to use the box stuff is when you're on a camping trip. The night before you want to have pancakes, grab yourself a large mixing bowl and combine all dry ingredients, which are 1.5 cups of AP flour, 3 tablespoons of light brown sugar. To balance out the sweetness, 1 teaspoon of salt. And our leaveners, 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder plus a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Give everything a quick whisk to make sure there's no big clumps. And now for the wet ingredients, crack in 2 whole eggs. I don't really like vanilla in my pancakes, so I'm not adding any, but if you do, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, followed by 1.5 cups of buttermilk, which brings us to tip number 2. To make super fluffy pancakes, instead of using regular milk, use real buttermilk. It tastes good. I mean, not on its own, but it adds a very nice tang which contrasts very well with the sweetness from the syrup, and most importantly, the acid in the buttermilk helps break down the gluten. In other words, it makes the pancakes soft and tender, and it'll react with the leavener and give the pancake that extra lift, resulting in thick, airy, and extra fluffy pancake. Some people might suggest, hey, you could substitute buttermilk with a mixture of milk and vinegar. It's not really the same thing. I really wouldn't recommend doing it unless you're really in a pinch. A better substitution would be a mixture of milk and yogurt. Yogurt is fermented and cultured just like buttermilk. So if you're outside of the US and really can't find buttermilk, do this instead of the vinegar method. Start whisking the dry and wet ingredients together, but do it gently. And that's tip number 3. Resist the urge to overmix. This is not the time to work out your arm. Overmixing will cause gluten to develop. Gluten will make the pancake chewy and tough, which is the opposite of, well, light and fluffy. Halfway through mixing, when you can still see some streaks of flour, pour in 4 tablespoons of melted butter. Don't be scared of adding lots of butter. It gives the pancakes flavor and keeps them moist. It's a win-win situation, so don't even think about cutting down on the butter. Switch to a spatula and gently fold the melted butter into the batter. Don't worry about making it super smooth. Lumps are good in pancake batter. That means you haven't overmixed it. The finished batter should look something like this. Lumpy. Cover the bowl with plastic wrap, give the batter a goodnight kiss, and send it in the icebox to rest overnight. Resting the batter will allow the lumps of flour to swell up and absorb moisture, and the gluten that was developed during mixing will mellow out, resulting in light and moist pancakes. This is not rocket science, but use a non-stick skillet or a well-seasoned cast iron pan. You wouldn't want your pancakes to be sticking on a Sunday morning before coffee. Grease the pan with either oil or butter. I'm using vegetable oil because I like my pancakes to have an even and smooth surface. It's a personal preference thing, so you do you. If you like the flavor of butter, use butter. Turn the heat on medium-low, and when the pan is hot enough, drop in the pancake batter using a measuring cup. This is a 1/2 cup. When you see bubbles start to appear and burst on the surface of the pancake and the edges are turning solid but the middle is still slightly runny, it's time to flip. And it's true what they say, your first pancake is pretty much always going to not be perfect. You can see that mine is a little light on the color because my pan wasn't hot enough, but that's okay. I'm sure the second one will be better. Okay, let's try this one more time. Now that's much better. Cook the other side for 1 minute or so. Continue cooking the remaining batter until it's all gone. This recipe makes about 6 thick, medium-sized pancakes, which is enough to serve 2 to 3 people. If you have any leftovers, store them in a baggie and into the freezer. Use the microwave to reheat them on a busy Monday morning. Final tip, enjoy these delicious and super fluffy pancakes with loads of butter and an excessive amount of maple syrup. Because you've earned it.